Viewers and followers of the African Integration Think Tank, I welcome you to this special interview with Dr. Willard Mwemba. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the COMESA Competition Commission. He's been with us. You've seen him on different interviews with the think tank, and he's given us good material that helps us in promoting the integration agenda. We are in Nairobi now at the Consumer International Congress that is bringing together over 300 influential leaders. And the COMESA Competition Commission is in partnership with the COMESA, the Consumer International, in organizing this event. I'm glad to welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Willard, and I want to start with the first question. Of what importance is this Congress to an African consumer?
That's a very good question, and I wish to inform your viewers that COMESA Competition Commission worked tirelessly to ensure that this Global Consumer Congress comes to Africa for the first time in Africa.
For the first time?
For the first time in Africa. Yes, people would say it once came to Africa in 1994, or just before that in South Africa. But you would recall that in principle South Africa was not independent by 1993 and early 1994. So coming to independent Africa, this is the first time.
So we can actually say it is the first time?
I can confidently say it's the first time for the last 50 years or so that Consumer International has been in existence. So what is the importance then? The importance then is that the focus of the whole world, the consumer movement of the whole world is here in Kenya, is here in Africa. So even policymakers at global level that never knew about the existence of the COMESA Competition Commission, they now know that. Policymakers who never knew about the existence of the Kenyan Competition Authority, which deals with consumer issues, they now know that. So policymakers at global level who didn't know about various and unique consumer situations here in Africa, they now know that. And because the focus is on Africa, next time when they are talking about remedies to consumer concerns and consumer harms, those remedies will take into account Africa's interests. Currently, when you are talking about even these digital scams or digital harms that consumers suffer from, the focus is not on the African consumer. The focus is on the consumer in the West, because those are the consumers that everyone knows about.
So we have an opportunity to tell our story as Africa.
We have an opportunity to tell our story as Africa, and this is what we repeatedly attempted to do at this Congress.
Thank you. And then we quickly go to the issue of the global treaty. There are negotiations. I know that the last round of negotiation was in Nairobi, about coming up with a treaty on pollution, especially plastics pollution. What is this meeting talking about when it comes to that? We see a lot of environmental degradation. What are the consumers' voices in this? And will they be heard by the government especially?
Now, that's a very important question again, and I'll go back to your initial question. What is the impact of this Congress?
Yes.
Consumers are very isolated individuals. Yes. Usually a consumer is dealt with at individual level, individual transaction. So in most cases, no one listens to the consumer. Okay? And yet the effects of this pollution is more on the consumer. But when we have movements like this, okay, advocating and putting pressure, then it does at least ring a bell for those who are making policies. And that is how we have found ourselves at this point or level where we are discussing about some global regulation on plastic pollution. Now, it's important to understand that plastic pollution is not just the plastic that you see consumed by an African consumer and you find it on the roads or in our rivers. No. Plastic pollution is more than that. I don't know if you understood or you knew that actually there is what is called global dump sites or something like that, where the garbage, especially plastic in advanced countries, it's shipped
True.
and dumped in poor countries.
Yeah, true. I think that happens a lot in Asia.
Exactly, it does. Even in Africa. It may not be at a high scale as in Asia, but even in Africa it happens. And you know why maybe we don't think it is as high as is in Asia? Again, it's the same thing, because no one talks about the plight of an African consumer. So maybe those things are happening and no one is looking and watching. In Asia, someone is talking about them. So this discussion, that global treaty, hopefully it will be signed by countries of the world. It will be very important because it will also prevent the pollution from outside countries, especially from the West, to be dumped here where we are poor. In the West, they even have, and I've got nothing against the West, but I'm talking about equality. They have technologies even to reuse those plastics. We don't have that technology, so we keep on dumping. It harms our environment. No recycling, nothing. It harms our environment. It harms our water bodies and the like. And ultimately, the person who suffers, or the one who suffers, is the consumer in Africa.
As the executive director of the COMESA Competition Commission, we know that the issue of food insecurity in Africa is now getting to an alarming level. What is this conference coming up with solutions, maybe? Because we know some countries have enough food, others don't have enough food. So what is that element you're talking about here in terms of Africa being food sufficient?
Well, I'll tell you the truth that I don't believe, frankly, that Africa should be hungry.
Yes.
We have all the water bodies, we have all the land. In fact, a bigger percentage of arable land on the whole planet is in Africa. Yeah, so I think the problem is lack of infrastructure.
Okay.
That should be the problem, and also the other problem is the middlemen, the so-called traders, and now these are big conglomerates.
Yes.
Okay, these are the ones that are exacerbating the situation of food insecurity, because at the end of the day, they deal with a farmer, buy at a very low price, process the whatever commodity they bought, the grain, and sell at a very high price to you, the consumer. So the insecurity there really comes from the affordability, in that those who, the majority cannot afford to buy that food. The few that can buy that food, you see a lot of wastage. There is a lot of wastage, I'm sure you've seen that. So to me, I think it is not really that Africa is failing to produce food. Africa has the capacity to produce that food, and where it has produced, there are distortions in that those who buy, process, they sell it at a high price, and hence those who are poor fail they cannot afford. That's why we see lots of food wastage. So what is this Congress doing in terms of addressing this situation? The Congress is actually basically digging out these concerns and proposing solutions. So among the solutions is that we should look more into this level of middlemen, okay, even as competition authorities. A middlemen is what they are doing, is it the right thing to do? So we should research more and then also advise more our governments. These middlemen are the very same people who lobby a lot. So in most countries you will see that the moment they see that imports will be coming from Rwanda into country X, the middlemen there will go and lobby to their governments in that country X to ban imports from Rwanda, so that the status quo continues, because they know when the imports from Rwanda enter country X, there will be competition. Consumers will not buy their product. So we should also do more to advise our governments, and these are some of the things that are coming out from this meeting. Advise our governments on some of the negative consequences of the decisions they make as a result of these lobbying companies. And I'm so glad that at this meeting, as you may have seen, Mr. Muramira, we have high government officials. The meeting itself was opened by the Vice President of the Republic of Kenya. There are a number of other government officials that are there. I've seen a minister from Ethiopia. So this is also what this Congress is doing. Those concerns you are raising about food scarcity, food prices caused by these middlemen who are so concentrated and take advantage of the consumer, but also the farmer, those government officials are listening. These are some of the things they don't hear in their offices. But today we've had an opportunity to sit down with them. They hear by themselves first-hand information. It may not change tomorrow, but there's some movement that has started.
Yes. Our viewers, when big names speak, they speak to the Africa Integration Think Tank. I want to thank Dr. Willard Mwemba for finding time to speak to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.